Hello team, my name is Brendan Walsh. I'm the Asia Pacific Sales Director here at Opengear, part of Digi International. And I'm here to talk today about Network Resilience Platform. But before I get into it, what does that really mean? So what does the Opengear Network Resilience Platform do? It's basically network management. But how we do it differently is we put an appliance out on site. With that, what we do is we give you discrete and secure remote access into that appliance, therefore all the equipment attached to it, and it's vendor neutral. It doesn't matter what piece of kit you've got. We provide proactive network management, and we already support automation through things like Docker, Git, and Ansible. So if that's something that interests you, over the next 10 or 15 minutes, I'm going to talk about who is Opengear and what do we do, what type of clients we look after it, and covering a couple of case studies. What does the product look like and what does it do? What is the value proposition? Security and management, going forward with automation on NetOps, our go-to-market strategy. So if you're interested, please join us and I'll see you on the other side. Thank you. So let's get straight into it. What is Opengear and what do we do? So Opengear's focus is network resilience. We're the fastest growing provider of critical IT infrastructure and management solutions. In the old days, or currently, we still look at what we call smart out of band. So out of band meaning, how do you get access to the network in band if something goes wrong? Well, we give access via out of band. And these days we call that smart out of band. We help going forward with secure provisioning. So no longer do you need, we can have a box pre-configured and sent out on site. We can help you with a white box, ship it out to whatever location. And going forward, we're covering off network automation. So things like Docker with Git and Ansible, we can actually work with you, and it's all vendor neutral. So we have presence and proximity, meaning we have an appliance on site, regardless of whether it's in the data center or a branch or a remote site. We offer failover to cellular. We have cellular built into our devices, so you know you're always going to get it. And that becomes important. I'll explain that in a minute. Secure remote access. Everything we do is via this security layer. There's multiple security layers, which I'll cover off briefly, and it's vendor neutral. So it doesn't matter whether you have a Cisco, a Juniper, an F5, a Huawei, we support it and we'll work with it. So who are the type of clients? Well, Fortune 100 enterprise is what we refer to, and most of them use our products. And when we say 75% of them use them, doesn't mean they use all of it, but it means that we touch on everybody. So we've got everyone from hyperscale companies like Microsoft with their Azure platform, or Apple in their data centers, through to colo sites, through to retailers, banking and finance, manufacturing, mining, healthcare, the list goes on and on. I'll give you a couple of examples. We deal with the largest colo company in the world, and very strongly through Asia Pacific. Now, they use our product not only to manage all their network, but to manage all their cross-connect network equipment. Now there's a lot of that, and there's a huge amount. So how do they do that? They use our product to manage all that. Another example, financial institutions. We have several who've come to us and as they've updated their data center equipment, they've gone to the Opengear solution. Or as they're updating their branch sites, typically these days with SD-WAN, they've added some resilience to that through the Opengear solution, and then come to us with their network equipment in their data center, how they manage that. So they've got a total solution for that. Another example would be we're doing one with a government department, a federal government department in Australia, where they're putting out nearly 300 devices across the country, partnering with an SD-WAN solution. They're using our product uniquely as for out-of-band management on all the equipment on site, but also they're using it as a 4G failover modem. So they're combining the product. So it brings down the total cost of ownership and gives them a lot of extra functionality. So what does it look like? Well, I've got a picture here of a very small ACM. It's one of our entry-level products. The front of the box where it says broadband and Ethernet out of band. You've got a broadband or Ethernet port, and that can either be a fiber port, which is the little hole on the left-hand side, or just the standard Cat5, Cat6 cable, the 1 gig port. Now on the back of the box, we have Ethernet management ports. We have serial management ports, and we have USB console ports. So it doesn't matter what you've got, we'll support it. That's really important going forward because a lot of devices still have serial ports, but also we're starting to see a lot of them that don't have it and only have USB ports or just network management ports like you see on SD-WAN boxes, but we'll support it. So our boxes go from 4 ports right up to 96 ports in the data center. We have embedded LTE modules in most of our products, and that's really important because we have certifications across the globe. In APAC, there is a lot of certifications required, and we have that covered. As I said, we'll cover the serial console port, the old RS-232, USB, and Ethernet. We also, on our new product range, we're going across to the x86 architecture, and we've embedded a TPM chip. Now that TPM chip becomes really unique because it means that anything that's on that box is now secured by the TPM chip. So any time you download any firmware, any updates, or everything's backed up. But also it makes the box tamper-proof, meaning it validates that the box is the box and what's on there is the real version, which is very important going forward. So what's the value proposition? Well, we add resilience. Opengear Smart Out of Band combines 4G failover to cell, so always on resilient connection. So if you think about it, I talked about the federal government department. One of the things that they did was they get a broadband connection in to a lot of their sites, but if they wanted to get a secondary path in, usually they found that it's on the same trunk. So to get a really resilient connection, they needed 4G. And that's why 4G is really important, whether it be for data or management. It gives you that unique path in. So we can control the devices via in-band or out of band, and generally these days it's via cellular. Security, as I mentioned before, we have about 3 or 4 levels of security, whether it be through the users and through the third-party authentication servers, what the users have access to, all the logging of all the devices through through even down to key logging is what I was trying to say. And then we have things like SSH and then VPN securing that, which gets important on cellular because it's an open internet protocol. So you need to have a VPN path from the device back to you to make sure that all that information is encrypted. Intelligence. All our devices have intelligence. So you can do auto remediation, log file analysis. We can do vendor neutral power management. So there's a lot of advanced functionality that you can do. A simple example would be the TFTP servers. So you can store a copy of the image of the device you're about to upgrade. So if something goes wrong, you can restore it. As I said, vendor neutral power management. You can reboot the device if it's just hung. And going forward into an automation with workflows using Docker, Git, Ansible to help go forward. We've got that covered already. So we help build a stronger network. We look after network failures. We got that one covered. Power failures, we can actually help you get fast recovery from an outage as we work with the PDUs to get the equipment back up in the right order. Software and system issues, reconfigure and remediate remotely. Problems at the colo, remote hands. How do you get remote hands these days? New edge deployments, as I mentioned, white box. You can send a white box out in site and we can help you build that up through things like ZTP. So one of the keys to the city here, and this is really important in the SD-WAN, in the data center, we've always had the management control and data plane separated. You have to, but when we come to the branch sites, that's not the case. But what we're saying is, well, you should be doing it that way, and you can do it that way. So an SD-WAN box gives you the control and data management on the same plane. Often they'll come to you and say, how do you build resilience into that? And they'll say, well, what we do is have a 3G, and that'll give you a 4G. That'll give you another layer in. But what happens if something goes wrong behind the SD-WAN, the switch fries, or the Wi-Fi access point is no longer responding, and it's blocked the network because it's just too much data? So we give a separate management plane and a control plane. So you're always going to get access to that equipment. And that's one of the keys that we're seeing, especially with SD-WAN. So the future of out-of-band is always active secure management plane beyond emergency access. Visibility across the entire network. As I said before, we support data center right down to branch, right down to small branch. Failover to cellular to run critical operations during our outage, and secure provisioning, especially remote sites. How do you do it these days? And orchestration with NetOps workflows. So we've got it covered now and going forward. So Opengear for everyday applications, we help with day one with secure provisioning using our CTP and the TPM chip. We have everyday automation of the management. No longer you can actually automate a lot of the processes. And then you've still got the emergency out-of-band management if something goes wrong. So how do we tie this all together with a program called Lighthouse? And Lighthouse is a product that we have, which has, you can have multiple instances, so you know it's going to support every size organization. Lighthouse is compatible with, is an application. It runs on VMware or Hyper-V, Microsoft Azure or AWS. And it really strongly ties into the NetOps workflows and the NetOps modules. It's purchased by the number of devices we refer to as nodes, and it's on a subscription model. We also have the remote IP access. As I mentioned before with SD-WAN, they only have network management. This becomes really important because you can actually start controlling these devices going forward and start doing some really interesting NetOps workflows with them. So secure provisioning from day one. I touched on this a couple of times. We've got RESTful APIs built in, but we do this with CTP in a lot of cases. We've got that covered, and we do a lot of that with a lot of our major customers these days, and we're getting more and more requests for this. NetOps automation is the last part of the product suite. Going forward, the NetOps automation, how do you actually go, what program do you choose? I mean, you can do it with Cisco, you can do it with Juniper. We do one that supports all of them. So we have a centralized file repository, and because we have an appliance on site, it makes it real easy to distribute this across the globe, basically. So the last thing I want to talk about is Opengear and our partner program. We're very strongly reliant on our distributors and our partners. We don't sell any other way. Because of that, we got a 5-star rating from CRN in 2019 with our partner program. We've got a really good web portal. What I'd like you to do is come and talk to the team, and so you can get an understanding of why you should partner with Opengear and what we offer. We really believe in looking after our partners, because if they're going to introduce us to the clients, they want to have the confidence that we're going to do the right thing. So our job is to help you, basically, and this is what our partner program allows us to do. So on the final slide, this is the team. It's only a very small team in Asia Pacific, but it is growing all the time. And please feel free to contact myself or any one of my team members across the globe for Opengear, the network resilience platform. Thank you.